Hey YouTube, how are you? Guess where I am? You might not be able to guess this one. So look, so I'm inside of the Eiffel Tower. I'm going down the stairs. There's many stairs. I was on the second floor and now I'm headed down and there's all this scaffolding around me, right? Can you see? It's the Eiffel Tower. It's kind of cool. So I can't really look at the phone because I don't want to bust my behind trying to get down here. As you can see, it's a little chilly out tonight. Not that bad. It's not windy, so it's pretty good. Ooh, gotta watch my head. So I'm giving you little snippets of my experience in Paris. I lived in Paris many years ago. I was in my 20s. I think I was 26. And I was planning to come and just live. And of course I had a very 26-year-old, ill thought out plan. I thought I knew what I was doing, but it wasn't a great plan. But I ended up meeting some Americans here in the exchange office, and I heard some people. I was in line to exchange my last bit of money. I didn't know what I was going to do, and didn't really know many people, like one or two, but no place to stay really. And I heard these people ahead of me speaking English up at the exchange counter, and they were kind of struggling and everything. And I speak French. My French was probably better then. It's a little rusty now. Mais alors, je parle français assez bien. Donc, j'ai passé. So I'll leave it at that. So I went to the line, to the front, and I said, hey, listen, I speak French. I can help you. And they're like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. And they were saying, where are you staying? And I was like, I have one more night at this place. I don't know yet. I'm trying to figure it out. And they're like, if you help us, we have an apartment. You can share the apartment with us. Americans. The girl, the young lady, whatever, like me, was from California. The guy was a makeup artist from Alabama. Very, very makeup artist, shall we say. As he put it, he was black, gay, and an artist. The most oppressed he could be. And so the three of us shared an apartment for a while. And we used to go to clubs and hang out. I went to my first, I think my only gay club, was a club called Boy at the time, a French gay club. Look at this. Where is it? You see that wheel rotating? Ah, there's the elevator going up. Whoa! Aha! So that's the pulley. That's the pulley operating the elevator that goes up to the... I think there's different. I've learned tonight there's two pulleys. Look, one here. They're huge. They've stopped now because they've reached the second floor. Okay, so I learned tonight there are 5 elevators. One for staff. One that goes only to the very top floor. There's a restaurant up there. And then one, how does it go? 2 or maybe 3 for the public. I forget. But anyway, there's 5 elevators. Eiffel Tower was built in 1887, I believe, by a Frenchman called Gustave Eiffel. Oh, look in the background over there. Can you see that structure? What is that? Oh, you know what that is? I learned a little French history. So that is Hôtel Les Invalides. I know I'm skipping around, but so that is, it's called hotel, but I learned also that hotel doesn't just mean hotel like we think of hotel. It also means any large kind of structure, like a large living quarters or place where people reside for any period of time, I guess. So Les Invalides was a military hospital. I think it still is in operation. Actually, it is new technology, but it's so old that during the different revolutions and wars, they had people there, including Napoleon. And I believe his tomb, if I'm not mistaken, is in the Les Invalides. Okay, so 5 elevators. There's one that, the ones with public stop. Oh, look, okay, so here, people are cheering, can you see? Okay, so I learned this too. Every hour on the hour at night, let me see if you can catch this. See the lights? Okay. So every hour on the hour at night, or when it gets dark, tonight it started at 10 o'clock and now it's 11, the lights on the Eiffel Tower light up. Here you go, you can see again. See that? Of course it's much better from the outside looking in, but it's kind of cool to be on the inside too. There are 20,000 light bulbs that sparkle. And so, can you see? So the Eiffel Tower, so every time it lights up on the hour, it sparkles for 5 minutes. And it's really cool. So this trip to Paris, it's much more like I'm doing all the tourist things. You did a boat ride on the Seine today, on the river, Eiffel Tower at night. Tomorrow we're going to the Louvre, and the Louvre is the most visited museum in the whole world. Paris is the most visited city in the whole world. I forget how tall it is, but when it was built, it was the tallest building in the world. What else? It gets repainted. I think it's like once every 7 years. I think it's been like repainted 18 times since it was built. Oh, there's the elevator again, going down. Oh, okay. And there's a few people walking up and down here. Not many. Not many of us take the stairs. Yeah, it's hard. They're going up. God bless them, because I'm not going up. It's a lot of stairs, right? Anyway, these bright lights here just illuminate the tower, of course. And then the lights are still sparkling. It's just maybe a minute ago they started, I think. And then below here, I don't know how much you guys can see, but there's a bridge right there crossing over. And then the dark kind of... So the bridge is crossing over, and then that's sort of the Seine River. So now we're on we're on the left bank of the Seine. Of course, you cross over, you're on the right bank. And we're going to do a tour of the Black Paris tour. So we'll learn about all of the contributions and just the different things that happened with the black people who lived in Paris, including, like Josephine Baker, I'm blanking on his name, James Baldwin, Langston Hughes, all those kinds of folks. Wow, I'm not looking so good with the lights coming out. It looks a little spooky, huh? Ooh. I'm looking forward to the Black Paris tour. They take us to the, I don't know if it's called the African Market or something like that. African Market. Here's another view of the river, a little bit closer down. Anyway, it's a beautiful city. If you've not been to Paris, I highly recommend it. As I mentioned, I had not been here in decades, so it's great to come back. And I'm with my mom and my son taking a visit. How do I keep going down? Where am I? Oh, is this down? Sortie. Oh, I don't want to go to the upper floors. I want to go down. Let's see here. No. Here we go. Wrong way. It's kind of big, right? It's a huge structure. What else do I know about the Eiffel Tower right now? About Paris? So racism is a thing here. I've been asking every taxi or Uber driver they have. They do have Uber, and I prefer Uber just because it's cheaper and it's interesting to talk to people. Although, taxi drivers are people too. So the taxi driver we had from the airport was from the Ivory Coast. Most of them I've discovered, are from, most of them are African or from some French colony. It turns out they're black, usually the ones I've had. The one from the airport, the taxi driver, was from the Ivory Coast, so they all speak French, right? The two Uber drivers we've had, one's from Martinique, an island in the French Antilles, French colony, right? And the other one tonight was from Congo. And so France did not colonize the Congo, Belgium did. But they're right next door. It's kind of one and the same. There's the sparkling lights again. If you don't know about the Belgian sort of takeover massacre in the Congo, there was a king a long time ago, King Leopold II, I believe, who did horrible things. Went to the Congo. Basically, he was feeling bad because he didn't have the empire that some others had. He wanted to, it's an ego thing, right? So he wanted to get some land, and all of the land on the western coast of Africa had already been seized by France. So he went deep into what they remember Robert Conrad's novel called The Heart of Darkness. The Heart of Darkness is referring to the interior of Africa. So he went into the interior, the Congo, which was really untapped and rich with resources, rubber and ivory and all kinds of things. And so he went in there and massacred 10 million Africans, 10 million Congolese. And so if they were ever even suspected, not confirmed, but suspected to have done anything wrong, like if anyone thought that they had taken something that wasn't theirs, they'd chop off their hands. Horrible things, murdering women, children, babies, they didn't care. There's a fantastic novel that was written about it that I read when I was in school a while back, studying international law. It's called King Leopold's Ghost. And if you have any interest in this kind of history or learning about, like I said in an earlier video, how these countries, everyone's like, oh my gosh, Europe is so sophisticated and so amazing what they've done in the architecture. It's like, well, yeah, because they robbed and killed so many people. murdered and massacred, you know, millions and millions upon millions of people. And although we hear lots and lots about the Holocaust of Jewish people, we hear nothing about the Holocaust of so many African and island people. Obviously the Americans too, American slaves, but so yeah, that's a great book I recommend. Fascinating. And it's not like horrific to read. I mean, of course there's terrible things that happen, but it's a great read. King Leopold's Ghost. Check that out. You know, and it changes your perspective on some things, right? So like today we passed by the obelisk. The statue looks like this tall, skinny pyramid. It looks like the Washington Monument is built upon it, based on it. That came from Africa too. It's got the original hieroglyphics in it. And of course the bus driver today was like, oh, well, you know, people say that it was stolen from Africa, but no, the truth is that it was a gift. And I was like, whose truth? Says who? I don't know. Maybe it was a gift, but I'm always suspect, right? Like France has done a lot of horrible stuff all over the world. So anyway, the taxi driver today, the Uber guy from Martinique, I asked him, you know, he asked me, he's like, so is it racist in the US? I was like, are you kidding? Of course, it's terrible. And I was like, so what about France? And he said, yeah, that racism here is really obvious. So he said he actually prefers that because you know who's who, but they'll like say stuff to your face. The French have a really horrible sort of grudge, I guess you can call it, against Arabs or Muslims. And, you know, we'll call them names, whatever, or he said they'll give them looks like you don't belong here. Just that kind of nasty vibe. So once again, yeah, it's cool, it's beautiful, but we got some issues. So this is not to justify anything like this, but for example, when some of these terrorist activities happened here in the past few years in France and also in the United States, I get it. I mean, I don't condone it, of course, but as Malcolm X once said, chickens come home to roost, right? And the United States and countries like France, England, Spain, Portugal, Holland, etc., those are the big ones, I think, have perpetrated horrific injustices and crimes on millions of people for many, many years with impunity. They've never been punished. You know, France still owes Haiti the equivalent of about $20 billion. That's with a B. And a former French president by the name of François Mitterrand was doing like a tour of some of the islands several years back. I read this a couple years ago, so don't quote me on exactly when it happened, but he was doing a tour and stopped in one island, and I guess someone questioned him, or he made a remark about, oh yes, well for sure France owes Haiti a great debt, and we're going to repay that debt, right? So the brief history, and again, I'm not exactly clear, but the brief history is that, of course, you know, France tried to colonize Haiti. They were somewhat successful for a while, but that's when Toussiant L'Overture, the Haitian general, led the revolt to kick the French out and was successful, right? So France got pissed, and I mean, this is a super condensed version, but France got pissed off, and I'm outside now. Oh, so here we are at the base of the tower. Whoop, there it is. La Tour Eiffel. Okay. So, okay, my people here waiting for me. My son couldn't stay up there because he doesn't like heights. So, I brought you guys a treat since you had to wait. I brought you a treat since you had to wait.
What is it?
That's okay.
You can see. Okay, let me finish this up. Hi, family.
Let's go find a restaurant.
Yeah, I'm gonna go find a restaurant.
So
quickly, let me just finish this real quick. Toussiant L'Ouverture kicked him out. France got, of course, pissed off. It's like either you pay us this tax, unjust tax, or we're gonna destroy all your infrastructure, like they did in a lot of West African countries. They ripped up the roads, killed all the hospitals, the schools, everything, and then didn't allow their their economy to thrive. So the equivalent now of what France extorted from Haiti is like $20 billion. Okay, I'm gonna go. It's family time now. Talk to you later. Bye. Hope you enjoyed that.
okay.
From the Eiffel Tower.